Hey everyone, PSYLOD here, and I have a very special guest with me today joining me on this video, so without further ado, Tom, why don't you say hello, and we can get into the thing that we're about to discuss.
Hello all, Unicorn of War present.
So, I suppose one could say that he's in my house now and he's breaking into my home in my space on my channel, but righty-yo, so I've been lurking here and there around the YouTube space for the past 7 years, never really found my footing yet, but I have a feeling that iterations of certain franchises here and there will up the ante for my channel in terms of growth.
Anyways, we decided to make a little collab about two of our favorite characters. My daughter, the one and only Weiss fucking Schnee.
And one of my personal favorite characters, Takeo Masaki. I wanted to do this with Tom for a while, considering he's the Weiss and RWBY enthusiast, and I'm the Takeo and Treyarch Zombies enthusiast. I myself got vibes that Takeo and Weiss had some similar elements to one another, so we're here, as such, to compare the two characters.
And of course, I'm gonna start, because I'm an asshole. Oh, and spoilers for both RWBY and the Call of Duty games, obviously.
Well, the Zombies mode anyway. Alright, let's start. Eh, Tom?
Weiss is the daughter of Schnee Dust Company CEO Jacques Schnee and his wife Willow. Most people believe that's her name, but since we still have no official confirmation, we're just gonna go with Willow for now. The SDC is essentially a monopoly on a precious resource known as dust, which is used to power virtually all of Remnant's technology, and in weapons for humanity to defend themselves against the Grim. Basically think fossil fuels, but if you could use spells with them. The SDC originally started with Weiss' grandfather Nicholas, who was a man of humble origins. However, when his daughter Willow married Jacques, Jacques seized control of the company and sold its soul, engaging in controversial business decisions regarding partnerships and labor in order to maximize profit. Originally, Weiss' older sister Winter was going to inherit the company, though she left to join the military because she wasn't about that life, and so the line of succession fell to Weiss. Weiss' childhood was one of loneliness and emotional abuse, always trying to be the perfect little girl in order to serve as Jacques' PR tool. It took quite a while for Weiss to break free of her father's influence. She left for an entirely foreign country to become a huntress so that her family wouldn't be able to control her every movement, and it was in this freedom that the ice around her heart began to thaw. Though it was quite rushed, she overcame her prejudice towards the faunus, basically humans with additional animalistic traits like bunny ears or cattails, and let her guard down enough to become much more amicable, and even eventually became the group therapist and mom. Through her struggles, Weiss has become incredibly self-reflective. Her songs especially emphasize her breaking free of her father's control, defeating the mirror that's told her who she should be her whole life, and embracing her true self. She views her teammates no longer as distractions or nuisances, but as family.
Time can be a cruel mistress.
Captain Takeo Masaki is a man of honor, faith, and loyalty. Born into a wealthy and privileged life, Takeo was raised and trained in the ways of the samurai. Not much is known about Takeo's relatives, except for the fact that they have served the Japanese emperor for decades. And there would come that time for Takeo to uphold the Masaki name as well. As he grew older, he would eventually find his footing in the Battle of Mukden in 1905. It was there that he was able to prove himself as an effective leader and brave soldier. Fast forward 12 years later, the Emperor himself selected Takeo to be his agent in the Great War. Concerns of these barbarians, the Germans, grew for Japan, and tensions were rising as cultural change and times of war challenged the old samurai ways, with the objective of securing the German weaponry for Japan's benefit. In addition to the German scientists partially responsible for the creation of said weaponry, October 1917 is when he'd set out to France. As he grew closer to the excavation site in the following March, Takeo cited that in his sleep, he was haunted by twisted dreams. Dreams that warned Takeo of a dark and uncertain future. His arrival in France was met with the relentless greeting of the undead, the enemy agents that he would eventually team up with, in addition to getting a first glimpse as to what the Germans' technology, powered by Element 115, was truly capable of. Takeo's journey had always been influenced by the desire to uphold his honor and to prove himself worthy in the eyes of the Emperor, regardless of how far or how close the Emperor's presence may be. But that was only up until he saw what had become of his former countrymen and found out the truth of what his beloved Emperor really was. A power-hungry, dishonorable figure driven by petty jealousy. And it took himself to realize this. Through his unlikely allies that he once viewed as enemies and as lesser, dishonorable beings, in addition to fighting off countless hordes of the undead, he would come to understand what was truly important, to fight for himself and for a bright future that he and his friends could accomplish together, a future free from the very evil that paved the way for all of their paths crossing one another, and influencing each step of their journey long afterwards.
Since this was Vincent's idea, I'm gonna let him start with the similarities between Weiss and Takeo's characters. Take it away, Vince.
The first thing that pops out to me is the initial character originally given to us, possessing a sense of arrogance that Takeo and Weiss express in their initial introduction. Though Takeo at the time of his origin was shrouded by his own arrogance to the flag of his own country, he upheld his unlikely comrades if they fought well against the zombie horde, but would condemn them if they fought poorly.
Weiss definitely has the arrogance factor going for her upon her introduction. There was much more to do with her own issues with striving for perfection than a dedication to a greater cause. You could argue it was for the Schnee Dust Company, but I say for Weiss specifically, it's mostly an internal struggle. But as for giving praise, never really was Weiss' style. The closest she comes in Volume 1 is,
"Of course you would come up with this idea,"
which is a bit snarky for most people's tastes. The noble cause is there, but it's not what fuels Weiss' arrogance like it seems to be for Takeo.
But alas, the circumstances of both groups, Primus and Team RWBY, meeting have been severely different. Team RWBY were sheltered by that school setting, but Primus had already started their journey in the heart of a World War I Group 935 excavation site.
Right. And though Weiss had the most classical training, it also resulted in her having the least real-world experiences in combat, which have led to some odd choices, like not knowing how to communicate a strategy with teammates, or trying to summon over and over again when you— oh wait, no, that one was just bad writing.
Well, I understand our disdain for Miles and Carrie's continuation of RWBY's story, but when Jason Blundell took the reign of Treyarch Zombies, it seems that he was really able to dig into the character a little deeper. And as such, those original ideas that Ultimus Takeo possessed were flipped on its head and expanded upon, with talks of a noble family, the Masaki name, and the Japanese emperor that Takeo dedicated his life to.
Any chance he could take on RWBY next, please?
Hi, I'm Jason Blundell.
Your job is to ultimately die.
I'm a sucker for medieval castles. Wow. Oh, by the way, did I mention the giant fog rolling in?
But conceptually, there are still interesting parallels and differences between the two, one of which being their ideas of doing right by their heritage. In Weiss' case, it's always been about redeeming the Schnee name since a certain jackass ruined it through exploitation of workers and the regular practices of everyone's favorite Wall Street. It's just as the shows go on, we've also added being less racist to the list. So progress.
Progress. At least Weiss in Volume 6, or beyond, has a chance to change things when she returns to Atlas, if she ever chooses to do so. I don't know about you, Chief, but I probably never want to see those two sorry pieces of shit ever again. Takeo never will get the chance to. I'm just gonna read you this excerpt from the official Zombies timeline. April 26, 1944. The Apothecons destroyed Dimension 63. And take a wild guess as to what Dimension 63 contained. Origins. An Origins world containing everything Takeo knew is gone. So all Takeo has at this point are his three friends that at one point he considered as enemies and a target, but now they are brothers in arms that he can trust, though there are times that he, Dempsey, and Nikolai are frustrated with Richtofen and his scheming. whereas the other three are left in the dark constantly. Even then, Richtofen sometimes doesn't know what he's doing.
Well, that's, I'm not sure if it's as confusing as the Kingdom Hearts timeline, but, it's close. That could be an interesting difference in the resolution of both their arcs, though. For Takeo, it's about moving past that obsession, whereas with Weiss, there is in fact solace in redeeming her family name. I mean, unless Volume 7 has Weiss burning down the Schnee Manor and company headquarters, which, admittedly, I wouldn't be too set against.
Seeing Weiss have a very sorry excuse of a family who tried to keep her locked in their grasp, part of me kind of wishes that we'd met Takeo's family and other Masaki relatives. However, there is that single aspect I felt that the two share, being locked away from the world, away from the eyes of the people. The Ultimus Takeo and Setsubo no Shima definitely got the boot, and that initial betrayal is what got Primus Takeo to open his eyes a bit. But Weiss is only one person, of course, and since her father, like Takeo's emperor, wanted her out of sight from the people, and locked in as a prisoner, that's her own assertion of her own revelation that she needed to get out and save herself. And before I let you continue, Tom, I've got a certain therapeutic Dr. Monty to help ease the moment. Not to be confused with Monty
Takeo Masaki. Wow. Those wounds are fresh, aren't they? The bitter sting of betrayal. The absolute collapse of the singular belief that has been the driving force in your life for as long as you can remember. What now, Takeo? What do you do when the metaphorical rug has been pulled out from under your feet? I'll tell you what you do, Takeo. You do what you've always done. You fight. Only difference is that you do it for yourself, not for some misplaced sense of duty or honor.
It really is interesting to see how characters who fall into a similar archetype branch out from one another, the little differences in how they deal with their own issues, or even what issues they're faced with to begin with. I mean, Weiss' struggles are why she's one of my favorite characters. All hail the Ice Queen. I suspect it's a similar case for you and Takeo.
I appreciate Takeo's character, since for so long he had this sense that the other three characters did not possess. Black Ops 3 had definitely reassured why Takeo's my favorite, but of course, it's more than just because he's the one with the katana, but because I see a mirrored reflection in myself when I watch Takeo carry on. I'm nowhere near as strong as that character, but taking the opportunity to allow other things to embrace my life, not burdened by duty, is something that I try to relish in, so I'm able to move forward and take those opportunities to accept the past while at the same time, bettering and understanding myself as a person.
Think you're selling yourself a bit short there, my friend. But I definitely see a lot of myself in Weiss. You could say she reflects me. Ha! Get it? 'Cause mirrors kill me. Thank you for having me on, Vincent. It was a pleasure.
Yeah, man, it was awesome having you here on the channel.
Despite my cold, I'm dying inside.
I mean, we kind of fumbled here and there for the past 5 months, but I'm glad we got this done. So if you want to take care of your shameless self-plugs, now's the time, Tom.
You can find me on the interwebs as the Unicorn of War. Mainly on the YouTubes, and the Twitters, and the Instagrams. Tumblr scares me.
Awesome. Alright, we're done here, fellas. Later.
It's been a shit show, y'all. Bye-bye.
Together we're here, and that's all that matters somehow. Thought that I could pull you from the shadows, maybe help you find your wings and fly. But you're a path no longer that I travel. The more I'm just defeated, my past mistakes repeated. I'll risk it once again to have you near my side. Another chance to let you just destroy my pride.